What up, everybody? Welcome to Super Bowl Live from Miami. That's 54 for the non-Roman numeral crowd.
Yeah, I was wondering if you knew what that meant.
I know what it means.
You kept saying live. I thought you were at the club.
I'm trying to go to the club, son. That is beautiful, Miami, Florida.
Yes.
Not going to lie to you, folks, back in the DMV. The weather's perfect down here. Probably 75. Mitch and I went for a lovely stroll last evening.
Yeah.
Welcome into Radio Row at the Super Bowl. This is our second year doing this. We are so excited. We have so many awesome guests lined up for the week. We spoke with Peter King. You're going to hear from him soon.
Yeah.
Also talked to Kurt Warner, who's got a Super Bowl ring. I love that B-Mitch breaks out the Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, at this
week.
time, I mean, it could get you in parties and stuff.
I know.
Just
Casually kind of.
Yeah, I learned it from Coach Gibbs. He said, you know, when you get on the plane, he used to go out there. He always booked a regular flight, regular seat, coach. And then he gets on the plane, he starts talking to people, and they move him up.
I love
it. It works.
All right.
And Coach Gibbs is the most low-key guy there is.
We're live. We're live.
What's up, man?
That is the Super Bowl right there. That is Radio Row at its best. Before we get too far in, Mr. Mitch Tischler is here. Brian Mitchell is here. I am JP Finlay. This is the RedskinsTalk podcast, brought to you by the great folks, Oarsman Automotive of Virginia. We ride with them. We hope you do the exact same thing. So you're talking about Coach Gibbs booking a coach seat.
Yeah.
I don't think he's flying coach anymore.
That was then.
Yeah.
Now he flies private.
Yeah,
You know,
sure.
He's the guy now. He's the man.
Speaking of private, how did you get down here? Were you on a jet plane? Like
I
don't
sat
know.
on the wing.
You sat on
Yeah,
I think you
sat
just
on the
jogged
wing.
down here.
Yeah, you know, I rolled down here in the Horseman. Car.
There you go. There you go.
There you go.
All right. This Peter King interview is phenomenal. We touched on a number of things. We'll probably be able to play a little bit more of it in the podcast. We're going to give you an edited down version here in the stream.
We're getting to the best of.
I mean, his comments on Bruce Allen, on Ron Rivera, and on what the Redskins should do with the number 2 pick are explosive.
Sounds familiar, didn't it?
It did. It did.
Uh-huh.
We're going to get to that in just a few minutes. But, fellas, I want to set up first show of the week. Obviously, it's going to be wild. I mean, do you know who that was that walked into our live shot?
Yeah, Schwartz.
Oh, all right, Schwartz.
He used to be with the Redskins. His brother played with the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, so
right,
now he went to the New York Giants.
So let's talk about, though, expectations for this week, Radio Row, and just kind of what we think Miami's going to be. Because I'll be honest, it's going to be crazy.
Miami is going to be, as it always is, live and festive, and it's going to be that way throughout. I think when you look at a Super Bowl here, there are some cities that you could say they can have a Super Bowl there every year, and you would never, ever see everything and never get tired of it. This is one of those cities.
For sure.
I think on top of it, the weather should be fine.
Fine. I think it's perfect.
But we're going to see more guests than we probably saw in Atlanta, definitely than we saw in Minnesota, because guys don't turn down coming to Miami. They turn down going to Minnesota. They turn down possibly going to Atlanta. But when you say Miami, they're coming.
So speaking of Miami, I wanted to talk about Mitch going with the purple here. I try to get a little festive. You always look sharp regardless of the scenario. But I tend to dress, I don't know if conservative's the word. I'm not like a flair guy. You know what I mean?
I'm not really I'm normally not a flair guy either.
You're kind of a flair guy.
No, he wearing it well now.
Right.
Big man say I'm going to step up.
But Mitch says this is just the beginning of what's coming.
It is just the beginning.
Wait.
Yeah.
That's not the one color that step. You have something that go bang.
There's some more pastels coming, friends.
All right, so
boy.
It's going to be
scale of 1 to 10. What are we at today?
Well, I mean, I'm always a 10, so it's a 10.
Oh,
what are we talking about here?
On the Pantone scale, on the brightness scale.
It's a 9. It's up there.
So you have something
What are we
brighter.
going to? Like 15?
We're getting up there a little bit. We'll see how bright it gets.
I am intrigued.
I can't wait.
I want to see what JP brings the rest of the week. We talked about what we were wearing.
You got some stuff.
And JP went shopping.
Well, I'm going to dress down. I'm not going to be like this.
Well,
not too much.
Wear a bathing suit?
Not too much.
Huh?
You'll just wear a bathing suit?
Nah, I don't.
You're gonna get in the beach.
I don't want us to just have all women watching. I mean, God,
We're all about the ratings.
What do we think? Obviously, so much of this is about the game, right?
Yes.
But really, to me, the Super Bowl, especially, Radio Row and the week leading into it, it's just about the NFL overall. And, I mean, nothing Brian, when you and I were in Minnesota and the Redskins traded for Alex Smith, nothing's ever going to surpass that. That was the media party night. Remember, we were trying to get on a roller coaster, and then our phones.
You think we got something happen tonight make us have to run?
I don't.
We'll
think
never
so.
make
No.
it. It's not the same building.
No.
It's not the same building.
Yeah, that's true.
What could even happen?
Nothing.
Right?
Nothing could that's going to make me leave the party. I mean, you could bring the equipment to us, but we're not running back over
Especially
here.
down here. Everything's so spread out and traffic's so bad.
Yes.
You know what? Let's take a minute and give JP a lot of credit. He ran the camera. We had a little credential snafu this morning.
Yeah.
JP did a great job running the cameras.
He became French all of a sudden.
Who did?
He said we. He had a.
I had a credential
We didn't have a snafu.
I had a credential snafu. But what I love about it is JP was able to run the camera.
Yeah.
He was able to figure out the audio, which is great.
Yeah.
So if something happens tonight, he's your camera guy.
Well,
As
long as he can put his earbuds in and call you.
Well, hold on. Before we start giving away any more slots on the Super Bowl Express, let's keep in mind that Chicago's down here with way more people. Bay Area's down here with way more people. I don't think you want to tell them that I can run the camera.
Can we get you to push that record button?
Yeah, that might be the end of your trip. So let's tell them how poor of a job I did. Not that I'm capable of it.
We can use your ears as an antenna.
Yeah, that's true. we get satellite from coast to coast.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, now that we're now insulting my ears, which I didn't think we'd get to Tuesday morning.
We have to.
Who knew?
I think it's time to go to Peter King.
Let's do that.
Right?
Yeah.
I think this is what folks want to hear. This is, I say it all the time. He's the foremost football writer in America. He understands this league from a historic perspective. His story about Steve Young is outrageous. And then talking to him about what he thinks the Skins are going to be and what they could become is entirely interesting. Here he is, NBC Sports' Peter King. It is always a big, big, big pleasure to get to talk with the Dean of football writing in this country, the best there is, Mr. Peter King. Peter, thank you for taking some time with us, and I guess welcome to Miami, right? We're all here.
Yeah, that's nice. Well, thanks a lot for the introduction, JP. I was telling somebody that, so the last memorable, like really memorable moment I think I had at a Super Bowl, two of them are in Miami 10 years ago. Remember the Saints win their Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And afterwards, I asked Sean Payton, I said, I want to go back to the hotel and maybe talk to you a little bit about this. So he said, yeah. He said, why don't you just get on the family bus and go back there. And the family bus was whatever over there. So I went, I found the family bus. And sitting in the seat behind me, walking on right after me, was Reggie Bush and Kim Kardashian. And I said, these are not your father's New Orleans Saints. But my favorite story about the Super Bowl in Miami is 25 years ago when Steve Young threw 6 touchdown passes to beat the Chargers. No. I'll never forget this. My job that night was to shadow Steve Young for as long as he would let me after the game. And in those days, it was a little bit different. Mm-hmm. You know, you had a little more access. And so after the game, Lee Steinberg's agent says, "Hey, come back to the hotel." And so Young had been sort of dehydrated, and he was chugging Gatorade to try to feel better. And he gets in the car, and we drive out of the parking lot, and he says, "Uh-oh, I'm going to be sick." And he unleashed a torrent of red Gatorade vomit in the back seat of this car. And Lee Steinberg, in the car, Lee Steinberg's shoes totally covered with it, and I got splashed on. And Steinberg had the line of the night. He said, well, never wash these shoes again.
I'm going to shift to the Skins and the offseason they've had in Washington. Obviously down here in Miami, the focus is on Niners and the Chiefs. But for us back in D.C., Ron Rivera's in, Bruce Allen's finally out. What do you make of the significant amount of changes really in about a month in D.C.?
Well, I mean, look, I'm not saying I was surprised that Daniel Snyder got rid of one of his best friends in the world, Bruce Allen, but it was long overdue. I like Bruce Allen, but it was ridiculous that he continued to hold that job. It was just ridiculous. And I think any person in football understands that if you go through 3 or 4 very lean years, not only are you in danger of losing your job, you probably should lose your job. Mm-hmm. But with Washington, it was 10 years. Right. And you just say, why in the world? Is there an adult in the room here? And there wasn't. And finally, in this situation, they finally did the right thing and got rid of him. And look, we'll see. I like Ron Rivera. I think he's a good coach. I think he commands a room well. And he is basically, I think, doing what he went with the people he knew. Mm-hmm. He went with Scott Turner to run his offense. He went with Jack Del Rio to run his defense. These are guys he knows, who he's familiar with, who he's had relationships with. And I think, look, and coaches do that.
Yeah.
That's what coaches do. But I just, for Dwayne Haskins' sake, I just hope that this is I hope that Scott Turner is to Norv Turner what Kyle Shanahan was to Mike Shanahan, because now he's getting an opportunity to run his offense his way. And we'll see. I think it's a great challenge for him, but I think, as Norv Turner would tell you, that he's definitely ready. And he'd better be ready because Dwayne Haskins needs him.
Do you feel like the Skins are able to turn the corner as an organization?
Well, they got the right guy. They got the right guy to do it, because Ron Rivera, if he senses that that's happening, he will not stand for it. He will not stand for a divided organization. And that will not last. That will not last. And look, again, because the outside world all thinks that this was definitely a Daniel Snyder pick. I don't think there will be any more Daniel Snyder picks if Ron Rivera is there, because Rivera said, if we're all not together, we can't take this guy, no matter what the owner says. That's the way, that's his history. Ron Rivera's history is building consensus in your organization. And even though they didn't win enough, his last 4 years, he's a 500 coach, and they don't win a playoff game, so they didn't win enough, but his players really loved him. So I'm really, really interested to see how that works out. But I'm just telling you, at one point, Ron Rivera let it be known to the people who were interviewing him, including Daniel Snyder, we are going to have a team in all aspects of this. We can't do it without that.
Well, and then what's interesting to that point is there's been some subtle differences already at Redskins Park. I don't know if you've been out there recently, Mitch, but it used to be cordoned off. There used to be doors between the front office and the coaching staff. You needed a badge to scan in and go around. Doors have been removed. Doors have been opened, and visually it tells a different message. And I think it speaks to your point of what Ron's trying to build.
I'll tell you a quick Andy Reid story. This was before the draft in 2016. Okay, so this is they don't have Patrick Mahomes. They're a year away from getting Mahomes. Andy Reid walks back into the scouting department. He does it almost every day, and he sticks his head in and he says, "What are you guys doing? What's going on?" Brett Veach, who at the time was the personnel guy, he wasn't the GM yet. Dorsey was still the GM. Brett Veach looks up from his tape machine and he goes, "Hey, Coach, I'm looking at our next quarterback." And this is after Patrick Mahomes' second year of college football.
Wow.
People liked him. They weren't sure of him yet. Reid sits there for about 5 minutes and he goes, pretty good. Keep me updated. Just let me know. Because, look, I'm sure Andy Reid at the time had heard of Patrick Mahomes, but he didn't really know him, and he doesn't concern himself with a guy who's not in the draft that year. I'll worry about that next year. You worry about what you can control at the time.
Yeah.
And so all through the next year, Veach would just send him little screenshots and single plays to his phone, because he knows that Andy Reid will open up plays on his phone and watch them. And all year he did that. But the point is that Andy Reid told me basically that guy is on our team because of Brett Veach. And because Brett Veach harangued him. That's his word. He harangued me, and he wouldn't stop. And he goes, so I start studying him, and I meet him, and I really, really like him. But he said, quite honestly, if he hadn't been so insistent, there's a chance he wouldn't be on our team right now. Wow. We would have studied him, but we had a guy who was ridiculously enthusiastic about Mahomes. So the point I'm making about Rivera and whatever is going on, they are definitely a team in Kansas City. And I really think that's what you need. Like, I look at the Giants. Are they really a team with Dave Gettleman? I mean, is that going to work that way? Maybe, and it might. But so we'll see. But it's a shotgun marriage right now, Dave Gettleman and Joe Judge.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I've got my antennae up, let's say, about the Giants.
I look at a deal, and John C. Maxwell, I read a lot of his books, and
Yep.
he talks about leading up and leading down. And I think what you're discussing is Andy Reid, a guy who has a lot of control, is not so high to where he doesn't listen to people.
Right.
And I think Ron Rivera is the same way. And he got people that he's comfortable with, as you stated earlier, to where if they say something in there, they have enough conviction, he's going to pay attention to it. And that also means educating the owner and anybody above to make sure we all moving this thing together. He said 11 people doing one thing, not one trying to do 11. I think that makes a difference because he's holding the people accountable from the top all the way down, and that has not been the situation going on there.
And to your point about Andy Reid and Brett Veach meeting all the time, it's my understanding that Ron Rivera and Kyle Smith, who he promoted to be VP of player personnel, are meeting at least every day, if not twice a day, right now as they go through their full evaluation process. And that just tells you a lot about Bruce Allen worked kind of in secrecy. That was kind of his thing, was to be on an island. And the philosophy has changed entirely in a short period of time. Peter, I want to let you go, but we've talked a lot about the draft. What do you think happens with the number 2 pick for the Skins?
I'll tell you right now, I had somebody who was at the Senior Bowl who told me flat out that the Washington Redskins could remake their franchise this year by dealing the 2nd pick in the draft.
Wow.
Now, maybe, and look, if you believe that Chase Young is Lawrence Taylor, you're not trading that pick. Mm-hmm. You're swallowing hard, and taking the pick. But just imagine if it is basically kind of the RG3 trade in reverse.
Sure.
Can you imagine if you go down to number 5 or number 7 and get 3 ones?
Yeah.
I mean, let's say you go down to 5, but then you get 2 additional ones. I mean, that might be hard to refuse.
I've said it over and over again. I believe that you have to listen to, if someone comes talking, you must listen.
But the reason why this is now, Brian, is that at the Senior Bowl, you've got a lot of teams who kind of like Justin Herbert, the quarterback from Oregon. Mm-hmm. He had the best Senior Bowl of any player. And practices and everything. And, you know, the interesting thing about Justin Herbert that people are saying now is that, okay, everybody liked him as a quarterback. That wasn't the real question. The question is, he is sort of, an athletic, nerdy guy. He's very, very smart. Biology, either major or minor, and he's very smart. And he's from Eugene, Oregon, never lived outside of Eugene. Everything about this, he was the hometown guy, all that. And so he never had to adjust to anything, really. And now he's got to go get coached by a new coaching staff. And he's the leader. He's everything. So everybody saw everything they wanted. And the only reason I mention all that is that means now, I think we all believe that Joe Burrow goes number 1 to the Bengals.
Yeah.
So now it isn't just Tua who's there at number 2. It's also some people who are going to say, geez, I love this Justin Herbert. So imagine, you got Tua, you got Herbert, and you got Chase Young sitting there at number 2. And just imagine how much leverage you might have. And I'm going to give you, this is something that somebody in the NFL said, can you imagine right now if you're Washington? Let's just say, the Giants would love to have Chase Young. Mm-hmm. So you move down, to the Giants pick at number 4, and then so you're sitting there at number 4, and then somebody's going to take Chase Young in the top 3, probably the Giants then. So then there's going to be at least one of the 2 quarterbacks left. So now what do? Could you trade back again and pick up another picks. One?
Wow.
So I think Washington is in an incredibly good situation. Either they get a generational pass rusher or they end up getting maybe 3 ones out of it.
Wow. I mean, that
looks good either way to me.
Yeah, and that's a huge haul, and they've got a lot of really good options.
Yeah. And look, I mean, the NFL is better when Washington is good and when Washington is compelling and a great story. I mean, some of my greatest memories covering the NFL is covering games in RFK when the stands shook, when it felt like there was an earthquake going on. There's only 2 stadiums I've been in where I go like this, and if you can't see me, like I'm grabbing onto the table, I'm saying, what is that? It's Mile High Stadium, the old Denver Stadium, and RFK Stadium, because when that stadium got loud and people were stomping their feet, the stadium moved.
Yes.
It just moved. And you said, man, what is going on here? These people care, and that's what I say.
I don't 54,000.
Yeah, and I don't know where they're going to play. I don't know where this stadium's going to be. I don't know how you get the excitement. I do know how you get the excitement back. You be competitive.
Yeah.
And obviously, I think the arrow's pointing up for that in Washington.
What was it like to play when that place was rocking?
When you look across the field and you saw it moving, you had no choice but to elevate your game. I think that's just how it was, because people talk about fans and teams being in congruence, and you feel it. It's like once they started moving, we started moving. It just happened that way.
Wow.
That is so cool. Peter, thank you so much for your time.
No problem, guys. Enjoyed it. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Pete.
Peter King, simply the best. All right, you are looking now at the top 10 in the 2020 NFL Draft. Obviously, the Bengals and then the Skins at 2. Lions, Giants, Dolphins, Chargers. Dolphins and Chargers need quarterbacks. We know that for sure. I don't know about the rest of that list, but there are plenty of other NFL teams that need quarterbacks. When you hear Peter King, a guy that's wired in and understands all of the mechanics that major draft day trades require, say that he has a source tell him in Mobile, which is just last week, that the Redskins can remake their franchise.
Yeah.
Let me say that again. Remake their franchise. Those are heavy duty words.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
And I've talked about this. I talked about it on our show. I've talked about it on the radio. And people seem to just want to go for one guy. And I understand Chase Young is an unbelievable talent. But if you can get 3 talents that they may not be at his level, you get 3 guys just a step below, you can build something quicker with 3 than you can with 1. And I think that's the ultimate thing. And I keep hearing he could be Lawrence Taylor. The Redskins did go to 4 Super Bowls and win 3 with Lawrence Taylor in New York. So it's not like one guy can stop your team if you build a better team from going where you want to go.
Well, everyone wants to bring up what the Rams did with the RG3 trade, that they never cashed in on it. But it goes both ways, because you also have the Titans, who gave up the number 1 pick to the Rams so that they could go get Jared Goff. They got Derrick Henry. They got Jonnu Smith. They got their starting right tackle. But
they don't want to talk about that because that's a positive.
Right. Well, the thing is, it goes both ways is what it comes down to. And if you trust your scouting department, you trust your draft guys, and the Redskins have built up a couple good drafts in a row. You trust those guys to pick 3 guys.
The Rams didn't do it with Jeff Fisher. What did Jeff Fisher do a lot? He was mediocre and average. So if you have a scouting department and people making the right decisions, you get it done. If you got people making bad decisions, you look at the rest of the Rams when Jeff Fisher was there. They didn't make a lot of great decisions, to be honest with you.
Well, and you got to consider this as well. Ron Rivera and those Panthers teams didn't do a lot of trading back when they had high draft picks, and they had a very strong record of nailing their first-round picks. And so I think fans have to keep that in mind. I will not be surprised at all if we get to late April and we're in Vegas and Chase Young walks across that stage and puts a Redskins hat on.
Huh.
I won't be surprised. And
I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Exactly.
But if they were to make the trade, I'm going to believe that they feel they can get 2 to 3 people that are going to make them better than one guy would. And I wouldn't have a problem with that either.
And that's the thing. It's not a binary scale. It's not trade or not trade. It's not Chase Young or not Chase Young. It depends what the trade looks like.
There you go.
If you're looking at a low, if the Dolphins want to give you 5 and 26 and leave out, was it 17 or 18 or whatever number, maybe that's not a deal you make, and maybe it's worth more to get Chase Young at that point. It all depends on what that deal looks like. If you're able to pick up the second rounder that you gave up last year and have 2 first rounders this year and a little draft capital next year and beyond, then that's something you can do. It's as we make these discussions, it's not one way or the other, and that's what everyone wants to jump on. Chase Young is the only guy that we can take there, or we have to trade back. It depends on what you're looking at and where you're getting.
Yeah.
I think the only thing we know for sure is that they have to do due diligence. You have to look at every possible option. And that means talking with all these other teams. I think it's going to be interesting. One thing that I'm really curious about is if they have some of these quarterbacks in the building for visits. Because that's the way to really build that leverage. I don't know. Well, I don't think they will, but if Tua comes in for a visit, everything starts to look different.
Because the whole thing about it, what if they were to drop or somebody make a bonehead decision? But you also want the rest of the league to not know what you're doing.
Right.
To make them think that, well, damn, if he comes there, that makes them say, well, we need to move up. Let's try and trade with him. And it may sweeten the pot just a little bit. Everybody that they think you may want to get or feel that you could go out there and get that they may want, bring them in. Work them out. Start putting out little fillers.
Right. Make the rest of the league think that it might happen.
And here's the other thing. I think Ron Rivera really wants a top-notch cornerback, a top-flight cover corner. And if you look at what White for the Bills or Lattimore for the Saints, I mean, when you can get one
Gilmore
of these...
in New England.
You get one of these elite corners, it changes things. And I think a guy whose name I keep hearing and I'm interested about is Jeff Okudah, the cornerback for Ohio State. Now, I mean, it's crazy how much talent some of these teams have that we're talking about Chase Young, but I think Okudah's a top 5 pick. And is it possible that he maybe does more for you right away than pass rushers don't tend to hit the ground running in the NFL? Okudah might be able to do that for you, and if you're able to get Okudah and somebody else by moving back, is that not greater than what Chase Young could be? I don't know. But
we've also had so many issues with outside linebackers having to drop into coverage. It's all we talked about last year. Once we see Montez Sweat and Ryan Kerrigan or whoever the other outside linebacker is start attacking the quarterback, who knows what Montez is going to look like when he has an opportunity to
and
play
a year
with his hand
further into the league.
Right, he has a hand in the dirt and able to go after the quarterback and move forward. I mean, he could be very, very good. We just don't know what we have.
One question I have for you, listening to Peter King there. You talked about the Skins trading back with the Giants. You see that happen, like an interdivisional rival trade? I mean,
depending on what they want to give.
Right. I mean,
see, I've never been a person who cares about trading back with the team or trading somebody to a team. If I don't want you anymore, I don't care where you go. And that's the whole thing about it. You know, if I send you to the Giants, I didn't think you were the guy for my team.
Right.
So you go there, I know everything about you because I had you.
Right.
You know, or I scouted you. So I have no issue with that as long as it benefits the Redskins and make the Redskins better. That's all I care about.
The draft is about 3 months away from this date, right?
Kyle Smith has a lot of work to do.
We are going to have this conversation in circles, every angle of this, for 3 months. So buckle up. I know there's a very strong...
Actually, there are no angles in circles, though.
I'm not a math guy. I
or
know...
a cursive guy, for that matter.
I'm going to show you. We had a little cursive contest earlier, and I think I did pretty good.
I think
We're going to go to that later. You'll see the results. But this debate is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And if you look at Redskins Twitter, which is a relatively insane place anyway, there are already staunch draft chase, don't make any trades camp, and there are staunch trade it, get as much as you can camp. It's only going to explode, trust me, especially once Tua has his workout in early April. Buckle up for all of that. All right, we need to take a quick break because we've already done a lot in about 30 minutes.
Yes.
When we come back, Kurt Warner, ever heard of him? How about Bashaud Breeland, former Redskins quarterback? Yeah, I love Bree, dude. That guy
the best.
I'm happy for him.
I'm very
happy for him.
Kendall Fuller too.
Oh,
but
yeah.
JP's story with Bree the last time they red into each other is off the charts.
And we're going to show you the results of our. Maybe we'll have Pete judge our cursive contest.
I'll tell Pete right in cursive.
All right, coming right back on Redskins Talk. We are back. Beautiful city of Miami. The traffic in this town is going to be just completely off the charts by the end of the week. I think all sports writers do is complain anyway, but get ready for these conversations. I think.
You can just sleep on the beach right out front and then just roll in for the stream tomorrow.
Maybe that's my plan.
That might be the move.
That is my plan.
It's water, it's Miami, it's Florida. I'll be scared.
What are you scared of?
Get alligators.
They're not in the ocean.
Okay.
They're not in the ocean, dude.
It's water everywhere.
Scared of anything.
The fearless tough guy's scared of alligators?
You're from the bayou and you're scared of gators?
See, that's the whole problem with people.
Get out of here.
All of you think because you're from somewhere you're not supposed to be. I know what they can do. I'm not scared. I'm not gonna go lay around the water. I promise.
I think you're scared.
Oh yeah.
So you wouldn't lay on the beach?
I'll lay on the beach.
There's no alligators
during the day.
beach,
I will.
Dude.
I assume you grew up wrestling alligators.
Hold on a second. You think there's the ocean is like 200 yards that way?
And
there's hotels. There's everything. You think there's alligators over there?
I think they can get there.
If Pete said this, I would understand. You are too intelligent.
First of all, no.
Alligators are in like the woods,
the
swamps.
Yeah. And you think, how far is the swamp from this ocean?
Dude, we're in South Beach. The swamp's pretty far.
What do we cross to get over here?
Not the swamp.
There's like a cruise ship terminal.
You don't think there's no alligators in that water over there?
Not right there.
I'll put some money on it.
There are no alligators within a mile radius.
Of here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except for the zoo.
I'll let you all.
We'll get a Miami expert and we'll ask.
Okay.
You know what? We should cover JP in chicken and throw him in the water. See what happens.
I don't know about that. Here's what we need to do. We got to catch up with Super Bowl winning quarterback Kurt Warner and ask him about Dwayne Haskins, somebody that is a very big part of this Redskins rebuild. Ron Rivera wants him to be more of a leader, and we'll see what Kurt Warner thinks he can become and what he showed in his rookie year. Big pleasure to get to talk to Super Bowl winning quarterback, Mr. Kurt Warner. Kurt, thank you very much for joining us, man. It looks like you got a pretty cool setup where you are. I know you're working with the great people at Lowe's to set up hometown Super Bowls.
Yeah, I tell you what, appreciate you guys having me on. Always good to talk to you guys. And yeah, down here at the Super Bowl experience in Miami, covering the big game and so many different interactive things that are going on here. And so Lowe's knows that not everybody gets a chance to come to Miami and be in the house for the big game, but they know that everybody's going to watch the big game. So they're encouraging everybody to go to Lowe's, go to lowes.com/NFL, get your team's gear, whether that's the Redskins or whatever team, the 49ers, the Chiefs, or any other team, and kind of create your own Super Bowl party and Super Bowl atmosphere. And so there's 32 of these different dwellings, as you see behind me, representing each of the NFL teams. You can come down, check it out, get inspired on, hey, what can I do? Or send a picture back to your friends at home going, okay, you need to have the coolest Super Bowl party. Go to Lowe's, get your gear, and then send us a picture on social media at #Lowe'sHometown and show us how you're going to be watching the big game.
That is pretty cool. I'm going to have to go check that out, and I'll tweet out the picture with Lowe's Hometown on there. But Kurt, let's talk about this Redskins team. If they're ever going to get to a Super Bowl in the near future, so much of that will be dependent on second-year quarterback Dwayne Haskins. And obviously, you played that position at such a high level for so long in the NFL. I'm wondering what you've seen from Haskins and kind of where you think he can go.
The skill set is without question there. We saw that in college. We saw that at moments last year. Well, what I always look to see with quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks, is how do they improve from week to week, or how do they improve from season to season? Because to me, that's what greatness is all about. It's not coming into the league and being a finished product. It's about working and getting better all the time. What I saw from Dwayne this year was he did improve game by game as he got more comfortable with the NFL, as he got more comfortable with the system. He played better and better and made them more competitive each and every time out. Now I want to see how does he make that jump from year one to year two. We say as NFL players, oftentimes your biggest jumps, your biggest increases as players come from that first year to the second year. Problem here is new coach, right? Coach Rivera coming in, who I love that hire. I believe he understands how to lead men, how to build cultures. But what's the offense going to look like? How much carryover is there? Because for young quarterbacks or players in general, you want to be able to find something that you can get comfortable with and that you can grow in. So hopefully this is the only move that they'll make during Dwayne's career. He can get comfortable with this offense, and we can see that improvement. And hopefully one day he'll be playing in the Super Bowl as well.
And Kirk, when you look at your career, what was the biggest difference and change for you to when you basically say, yeah, I got it, moving from being a quarterback in college arena to the NFL?
Well, I believe there's always a couple things that go into it. First and foremost, you've got to prove to yourself that you can play. I know we all believe it when we get there and we all have confidence, but you have to have those moments in the course of a game where you go, okay, I can do this, I can play at a high level. I think the other component is finding the right situation for you, finding the right system for you. When I got back into the NFL with the Rams, I was 28 years old when I got my first start, and was able to have a lot of success early because I found myself in the right system. The offense did what I did well, that it played to my strengths. I believe that is always a key for players, and especially at the quarterback position, is you got to find a system that fits you, or in this case in Washington, they need to build a system around what Dwayne Haskins does well. That's how you thrive. That's how you get to and win Super Bowls, is you build around what your quarterback does well. So excited to see where he goes as he grows throughout his career and what kind of offense they develop around him.
Ron Rivera did a really good job of developing Cam Newton into the quarterback that he was, coming to D.C. this year and working with Dwayne, a guy who has so much attention to detail. How much can a guy like Ron help Dwayne improve?
Well, I think Coach Rivera can help Dwayne and all those players in a great way because he's such a stable force and he brings great character to an organization. And that, to me, is you show people how to lead. You show people how to do their job, and you build that within your culture. I think Coach Rivera is going to do a phenomenal job at that, something that this Redskins organization needs, something that a young quarterback always needs. So excited to see where this organization goes under his helm. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for a little bit of time this morning, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, thanks a lot, Kurt. Enjoy the Lowe's hometown experience.
That Georgetown row home behind you.
Thanks to Kurt Warner for talking with us. Yes, everyone on Twitter, we are getting your alligator and crocodile updates. We appreciate it. You still haven't won the debate.
I've won the debate.
No, you haven't.
All I'm trying to tell you
just got an article about a 600-pound gator in a Miami neighborhood.
I said within a 1 mile radius and on the beach. We're going to get to that.
Man,
can we talk about Dwayne
whenever
Haskins?
they prove that I'm intelligent, he doesn't want to just admit it.
Right. I think you're incredibly intelligent. You're a double major in college. I know all these things about you. Okay? But there are no alligators on South Beach.
Well, how about you just walk around with some meat on, like Lady
I want to tie a
Gaga?
little chicken
You
to
can be man Gaga.
I want to talk.
JP Gaga.
I want to talk about Dwayne Haskins. Is that okay?
Yes.
Is that okay with anybody?
Let's do that.
Gaga. You guys have gone Gaga. All right. Dwayne Haskins. What Kurt Warner said there made a lot of sense to me. That he needs to be put in a situation where he can succeed. Is Scott Turner the right guy to do that? Because we saw Dwayne started to have a bit of success with Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell's now in L.A. This is on Scott Turner. I think Scott Turner is the guy. If you look at his work with Cam Newton, you look at his work with Teddy Bridgewater, bringing along young quarterbacks. Ryan, you know Scott from a different perspective. Kind of explain that and see tell us what you think Scott can do.
Well, I've known him since he was a young man, and you look at his dad.
Since he was a kid, right?
Yeah, since he was a kid. And I think his dad, Norv, is as good of an offensive coordinator as anybody out there. And everything that Scott basically knows, he learned from his father. And then when you watch him and you watch the work he's done, Cam Newton is a mobile quarterback. And I think a lot of these offensive coordinators, it's easier for them to deal with the guy who drops in the pocket and is more consistent. Okay? But when you look at the guys that run around and do all types of things, that's something they have to try to adjust their game plan for. But when you look at Dwayne Haskins and you watch him along the way, I know people want to give all the credit to Kevin O'Connell, and I do give Kevin credit. But it happened when Dwayne started getting more time and started investing more time. So I believe that looking at Scott Turner, putting him in a position where this is not one of those 15, 20-word play calling systems. It's going to be a lot simpler, easier for him to just go out there and react and play football, and I think that's going to help him out. I believe Dwayne Haskins also starting to understand the time that's necessary for a quarterback in the NFL to be successful. When he does that, then you'll see that jump even more.
Well, I think as you talk about Ron Rivera and he talks about the quarterbacks and a veteran that he might bring in or whatever. That's him laying down the gauntlet to Dwayne. Show me that you're the guy.
Yes.
I think the gauntlet has
and
clearly
I see nothing
been
wrong with
thrown
that.
down. Yeah, absolutely. I think they want Dwayne to be first in, last out. And when you read about the great quarterbacks in NFL history, that's always what happens. And I think in a lot of ways it's a fresh start for Dwayne. And clearly things probably didn't start the way he wanted. We know that maybe the coaching staff wasn't as invested in him. There was discussion about if they wanted that pick. We talked about that with Peter King. There's no more of those questions now. This is your opportunity. This is your team. Go out and take it.
Yeah, and I think when we look at a lot of quarterbacks, and when we talk with Peter, I basically made the comment that you look at guys like Tom and Drew Brees, and then those guys, before the ball is snapped, they basically know which area of the field they're going to. And I think that is what you need to work with the next level. You look at a guy like Patrick Mahomes, a young guy. Yeah. He understands the game. He understands it. But then after stuff breaks down, he can even do more with it. But you need to understand, I look at a field, if they're in cover 2, if they're in cover 1, if they're in single high, whatever. I know now that's gone. I'm over here. And I'm still going to look here, but then I come back. When those things start to work and you have it, great stuff happens.
Speed is what you need. Yeah. All right, that's a good conversation about Dwayne and speed. We got to switch over to the defensive side of the ball. Yeah. It's if you think about the last 4 or 5 games of the Redskins 2019 season, they didn't have any corners. Somehow they were benching Josh Norman, and still, they were pulling guys off the street, off practice squads, into action that week. It was really crazy, especially late in the year. A pair of quarterbacks that used to reside in Ashburn are playing this week.
Yes.
Bashaud Breeland, Kendall Fuller.
Bashaud's been playing at a high level.
Very high level.
He should have had that pick against the Pack.
Very high level.
It looked so good.
I thought he had it.
So,
so did he.
Last night was media night, which is always just a complete show. We walk up to Kendall Fuller, and he is playing a game, throwing a football with a television reporter from TV Azteca, which was bizarre. Then a magician came over and did like 10 minutes of tricks, which was even cooler. But weird.
By the way, the tricks were cool.
Outrageous. I think that's going to be on ESPN later in the week. People should watch it. But we got to talk to Bashaud Breeland, one of my favorite guys I've ever covered, and the conversation is worth hearing, especially his journey to get here to the Super Bowl.
It is a lot of fun to be able to catch up with former Redskins cornerback and Kansas City Chiefs cornerback, Mr. Bashaud Breeland. Bree, can you believe where you are right now?
Man, it's still unbelievable, man. I can't even find the words to fathom how I feel about this opportunity, and I'm just ready to go out there and do what I can do.
So I got to ask you this. I'm putting you on the spot. Do you remember the last time we saw each other?
At the Super Bowl.
Last year?
Yeah, in Atlanta.
And you asked me, where do I pick up the tickets?
Yeah, I was looking for tickets, man. I told myself I ended up not even going to that game. I kind of told myself I wasn't going to the Super Bowl until I get a chance to play in it. And come a year later, it came true.
What was this run this year like with the Chiefs?
It was great. We had our ups and downs, but you can really see what type of team this is. Throughout crunch time, everybody pulled together. I've been on different sidelines when things go bad. A lot of people really start bickering and pull apart from each other. But those were the times that the team really got closer and pulled together the most.
Sounds like you might be talking about your time in Washington with the teams bickering.
No, I wasn't saying like that, but you know what I mean? I've done been on 3 teams, you know what I'm saying, and I see how this thing goes in this league. And it's tricky. It's hard to really get to this game. There's a lot of factors that really play into this game. And when you click on all cylinders, you got something special.
What is it like, Andy Reid, as a head coach? Players love him.
Man, I love him, man. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the best decisions I made in my life. Like, he the most coolest, toughest head coach you ever be around. You know what I mean? Like he don't really say much, but his demeanor, the type of demeanor he got, you know you got to be come for business. You know what I'm saying? There's no playing around. And he motivates you, every player in their own way. He really know how to attract every player. He know how to get out of what he want to get out of every player.
Think about your journey for a minute. For what you did in D.C., and then you had the deal in Carolina, and then you hurt your foot, and then, you have to bounce around, and now you're at the Super Bowl. Are you able to process all that?
It happened so fast. Last year, during this time, I was on the couch trying to recover from an injury overseas. You know what I mean? I didn't blink an eye. You know what I mean? today I had so many examples today with this thing I'm about to say. It's like see it through. During that time, I really couldn't see when it was all cloudy. I didn't see if I was going to play football again. You know what I mean? I saw it through. I kept working. And look, I'm here playing in the Super Bowl. There was so many examples throughout today where it showed me that you really got to see things through. I'm in traffic. I thought I'm stuck. But the driver was like, man, we just need to see it through doing this route. I'm like, cool. You know what I mean? I'm still panicking because I don't want to be late. And then voila, the lane opened up, and I'm here on time. I'm actually 10 minutes earlier than I was supposed to be there. You know what I mean? So see it through is my mentality this week. You know what I'm saying? That's my motto. I'm sticking to it.
So see it through. I mean, what do you see for Sunday?
Yeah, victory. You know what I mean? When Super Bowl, man. You know what I'm saying? This is a game that everybody live to. You know what I'm saying? Like the highest level you can really play at, making it to a Super Bowl. And I want to just come out here and get the Chiefs everything I had. I'm grateful for this opportunity. You know what I mean? I never really had this much. First time really having the opportunity. I want to showcase the world really what I can do in postseason games.
Is it cool for you and Kendall to be here together when you were both in Washington together a couple years back?
It was crazy. You know what I mean? Like Kendall get drafted. You know what I mean? They didn't sign me back. I came to Kansas City, you know what I'm saying? They reached out and brought me in, you know what I mean? I had an opportunity to come there last year. It didn't work out. Kendall reached out, you know what I'm saying, wanted to reunite. And then this year, you know what I'm saying, like once I really saw everything on the table, and it was a no-brainer. Reuniting with Kendall would be something special, you know what I mean? Like maybe we can go back to having like the top secondary like we had in Washington during that time, you know what I mean? Him being the top slot corner at that time, you know what I mean? I'm doing what I'm doing on the outside. And I'm just glad to be able to be here with him again.
I'm so happy for you, man. This is my last one. Do you still have the Christmas sweatshirt?
Yeah, I do. I do. The ugly sweater. It's in my closet, man.
Congrats, man.
I appreciate
Seriously,
you, man.
Enjoy the hell out of this.
Yeah, man, it's fun.
You deserve
it.
it.
It's fun, man. You know what I mean?
Check.
Enjoy the hell out of this.
I'll just go.
Pete, you hear me?
Hey,
Somebody
fellas.
talk so we can run traffic. Pete, talk to me.
JP, hello, JP.
How bad is this delay? Talk as fast as you can now.
Hello, JP, good to see you. Hello, delay test, delay.
Quick.
That's fine.
That's quicker.
doable.
That's quicker than
All right.
that was. Yeah.
We are super tight on time, so we're probably going to crunch. How many questions do you have?
I have 4. I can knock it down to 3 if you want.
Why don't we save those for tomorrow?
Okay.
And we'll do this cursive thing.
Okay.
And we'll have you chime in on the alligators. Do you want to do that?
Yeah,
or do you
that
want
sounds
to
good.
ask one trivia question as a tease for tomorrow?
No, let's do cursive and alligators, and then do you want to do stream photos too?
Yeah, I definitely want to do that. So
Okay.
we'll do cursive and alligators. Do you have return video?
Yeah, I can see stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to need them to run the cursive. Like, I'm going to put this to Brian's POV cam.
Okay.
And you can.
Let's hope it don't cut off.
Here, let's turn it a little bit here.
You can put it wherever you want. You're just gonna...
So, what did you initially ask if I knew how to draw a Q?
No, I asked if you knew the cursive alphabet. You said, "Of course I do."
I think I do.
Some of them you don't.
You don't.
My Z is strong.
Just put a circle on the end of whatever it is.
I don't see any alligators. You know how far away alligators will go from that gigantic cruise ship? It's a
Yeah.
floating shopping mall.
I just want you to jump in the water.
I'm going to get in the water. I'll send you a picture. We can walk over there together after the show.
Yeah. I'll barbecue your leg after they take it off.
You would eat my leg?
I'm not eating it. I'll barbecue it for somebody.
I want to barbecue the gator.
I love that.
I've had gator
tail's
it's kinda
pretty good.
Tough.
Yes.
All right, we are back.
Cook wrong, man. Please.
Our dear friend who is holding things down back in D.C., Pete Haley. Hey, Peter.
What's up, Peter? How you doing, sir?
I think I'm actually happy to be here. If Brian is ascending to cannibalism, I knew he was aggressive, but now he's literally talking about gnawing on JP's leg. What the hell is going on down there?
It's amazing that people never hear what you say. I say I would barbecue it for. I never said I would eat it.
It implies.
It implies. No, it doesn't imply. I cook a lot of stuff that I don't eat.
I'm proud of Pete for going Miami vibe, even though he's back in D.C. I like it.
Pete, I like that shirt.
Yeah, Mitch, you and I are on the strong side for once. We are wearing the bright clothes. JP looks like he always does, kind of understated. And B. Mitch is wearing cool stuff that's super expensive.
That's what y'all look like.
A lot of football left here, boys.
You look like a house in Bermuda. That's what y'all look like.
We got not one, not two, but 3 more streams to go.
Shows. A lot of football left here.
Sure.
Pete, where do you line up on this alligator-crocodile debate? You think there's an alligator within a mile of South Beach?
No.
Have you ever been down here? We were all here in October.
Yeah, I think alligators belong in swamps and in mucky regions. I don't see them in oceans. I'm worried about sharks and stingrays in oceans and things like that. Alligators are not on my radar. I'm on your side. I think B-Mitch is kind of crazy. So now I've insulted B-Mitch twice.
Are you scared of the ocean?
I think we just went online. I'm not going to listen to Pete over stuff online.
Well, it's also funny that he's kind of freely insulting you from the safety of the Bethesda studio.
Right, for sure.
I don't forget. I'm like an elephant. I will remember and I will touch him when I see him.
All right, Peter, here's another question.
Yes.
B-Mitch is a psycho and writes in cursive.
Crazy.
Is that weird to you?
Yeah.
Do you write in cursive?
He doesn't know how to write in cursive.
False. My
Do you know how to
mom.
write
Nobody
cursive?
writes in cursive.
My mom, the Saint Debbie Haley, taught my 2nd grade class how to write cursive. So I'm aware of cursive, but the only time I really use it was when I'm signing things like bills at a restaurant and bar tabs at a restaurant that are far too expensive for me. So I don't do much cursive.
So B-Mitch challenged me to write the alphabet in cursive.
And it looks
How do you
like
think I
chicken
did there?
scratch.
that
He
looks
literally just put circles
She
at
put
different
circles on
intersections.
everything.
Look at that X.
I had
Look at that X.
dude, it looks
I
like
had some struggles.
the Zodiac killer's
My
like
Z is not
ransom
that good.
note. Are you a serial killer? That's concerning.
I don't know, man. My S and my Q are...
Your S is horrible.
Yeah, the S and
Your
the Q
Q is
are
not
bad.
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, cursive isn't just
eye
putting a
was
circle
terrible.
onto things,
My
JP.
eye is quite bad.
It's not just putting a circle and calling it cursive.
I just
Terrible.
wrote regular letters and put a circle on.
Yeah, it's
See,
not
Pete's
it.
mother taught him how to write in cursive. She understands the importance of
We
having-
all learned cursive. I just don't
learned it.
remember
I just
it.
forgot it because nobody uses it.
So now, I'm a lot older than all of you, and you don't remember?
You still use it. I've stopped using it.
Because I'm talented.
I don't write
Pete grew
much.
up
I type
texting.
most.
He didn't have to write ever.
Yeah, there's
he grew
no
up texting on a phone.
No cursive on this thing. It's just
Pete
emojis.
doesn't know how to work a phone. He doesn't know how to work a landline phone.
Really?
Or a
when
fax machine.
When he was my intern, I told him to call somebody. He literally didn't even know how to work the machine. And I was like, "Oh, you got to dial 9 first." He's like, "What?"
Yeah.
He had no idea what any of that
It's a true
meant.
story. JP makes up a lot. That's a true story.
All right, let's go to the pictures. I know a lot of folks are watching. I know the folks at Hogs Haven are watching. They are firmly in the take Chase Young, don't trade the pick. Pete, you are in the take Chase Young, don't trade the pick camp, right?
I am, but yes, Peter King did kind of, persuade me a little bit. By the way, it's nice that Peter King came on to talk football while Peter Haley came on to break down cursive. I've noticed that. There's a difference between the two Peters there. I'm still Chase
there
Young,
is, Pete.
but I
Sorry,
think
buddy.
there is some momentum for it. And here are the pictures. We had a
Hey,
lot of
talk
people
about the
streaming.
pictures.
Yeah, Ivy West streaming at work. We have people streaming at work, at school. This whole week, the Redskins Talk podcast diminishes productivity throughout offices nationwide. We see our guy here keeping up with the stream
John
instead
O.
of listening to our bosses. It's beautiful. It's great. Continue to send in your pictures on Twitter. We will post them at the end of our shows. We love seeing the involvement from our listeners and our viewers.
I love Jackson's picture trying to pretend that he was studying.
The guys
while
do a good
watching.
job.
Act like these people are doing this just today. They don't do a lot of production any day. They just they have an excuse for it
Our
now.
guys are
down about our listeners.
They have an
productive as
excuse
hell.
to do it now.
It's a little
They
different
blame
this
it on
week.
y'all today.
Tomorrow, Mike Rizzo. Get ready for that. Josh Norris. We're back here at noon. Thanks for watching.